Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you know that in order for you to have a harvest of gratefulness, you have to lay your burdens down? You know that. There's no other way that you can appreciate this thing called life. Carrying around a bunch of heavy weights that doesn't do you any good. It just doesn't work. Hold on, y'all. I need some more room out there. I got it. We're good. We're good. A harvest of gratefulness. Here we are on Dockweiler Beach on November 10th. Looking out at the sunshine, the waves. Nowhere but Los Angeles, California can this happen. All your cousins on the East Coast, Texas, wherever they happen to be. My wife's hometown, Seattle. You ain't gonna see this on November 11th. It's not gonna happen. But we're here celebrating today in this beautiful environment, getting ready for the Thanksgiving season. Now, Thanksgiving is that time of year where we all make the decision that we're going to reflect on all the blessings that we've got all year long. It's a time for us to celebrate our harvest of gratefulness. But that harvest is that which we have gathered. All the things we've accumulated, all the things we've developed, that which we have reaped, grown, and nurtured throughout our experience here in this life. But here's the reality. All the crops we produce are not to your liking. Yet whatever your manifestation, whatever your experience, there is something to be gained and learned from that experience. Therefore, we need to be grateful for what? All things. Because our gratefulness is showing appreciation for whatever you receive, be it a gift or be it something that you've earned. But it's easy, real easy to be grateful when we're experiencing something that's pleasing to the mind and tantalizing to the senses. We don't need to come to church to be grateful for that. You know how when it's, as they say, all good? We're always grateful. But what can be more pleasurable than having a mind, body, and soul that produces that which we desire in our life? What is better than sitting down and taking inventory of all the gifts that God has blessed you with? Do you ever take time to do that? I know when something happens we don't like, we take time to be angry about it. We take time to let them get told about it. We don't let it go. But do we ever take time to take inventory about all the blessings that we received in this life? You see, you get all this good stuff. There's somebody right now giving birth to a brand new baby. But guess what? They are experiencing some pain during that birth. So when you give them blessings for that brand new idea, that good feeling that you have, it's okay to also bless the pain in which that birth came into your life. A harvest of gratefulness is being thankful for the essence of life itself and all the experiences that come with it. Now somebody's sitting there, I know my friend over here saying, hold up, Reverend Jerrold. Are you telling me when I gather with my family and my friends and I sit around this big table full of abundance, that I need to be grateful for everything I've experienced? I'm not only telling you yes, I'm also telling those who have no table, no food, no family, and no friends. They need to be grateful for every experience as well. if you appear to have everything, or if you have nothing, you always have the same thing, which is the power and presence of God within you and all around you. Your harvest is a result of your acknowledgement of that power, your relationship with that power, your use of that power, your faith in that power, and your thanksgiving that you have for that power. When you are where you're supposed to be, which is wherever you happen to be. Did you know that? Did you know wherever you find yourself is where you're supposed to be? And you're not there because someone told you you need to be there. You're not there by decree. You're there because the law of attraction governs you and me to be wherever it is we choose in mind to be. Now that doesn't mean that you're creating all your problems. Now, don't get me wrong. Stuff happens. But how you perceive what happens, how you react to what happens, that's where you're supposed to be. You can choose to dig your hole a little deeper. Or you can choose to bury that hole and stand on top of it and look around and see what else you can come up with. Ernest Holmes says this, for those of you who did as Reverend Lisa asked and took a little brief glance at chapter 18. He says, everyone attracts to himself just what he or she is. Whatever we are, however intolerable the situation, we are just where we belong. He goes on to say our mental atmosphere, our conscious thoughts and subconscious thoughts become the direct reason for and cause of that which comes into our life. Now here's the good news. Outside things don't control us. That which is within us can change everything and free us from bondage. That which is within us is what helps us lay those burdens down. He goes on to say, man must bring himself to a place in mind where there is no misfortune, no calamity, no accident, no trouble, no confusion, where there is nothing but plenty, peace, power, life, and truth. Then we will see life as a harvest of gratefulness. Ernest Holmes says, whatever one reflects into mind tends to take form. Remember, mind is a whole lot bigger than just your little brain. Mind is a big something. Mind encompasses everything. That means there's a collective consciousness at work. And that collective consciousness is what produces beautiful days like this, but it also produces typhoons, storms, fires, and stuff you don't want. Somebody, somewhere, has to think it. Otherwise, it can't happen. That's why Jesus said, resist not. He was telling us non-recognition of evil is the only way to avoid it. So we all have our little individual jobs to do, right? We got a big mind out there working, but the first thing for us to do is what? Change this one. Because you are contributing to one or the other, and most of the times both. So I know somebody has another question for me. How is it humanly possible to perceive life's tragedies with an attitude of gratitude? How is it humanly possible to perceive a tragedy as something we should be grateful for? You want the answer? It is. It's not humanly possible to perceive gratefulness from a tragedy. But it is spiritually possible to do so. You see this book here? This entire book, all 66 books, all 1,180 All 31,102 verses only have one purpose. And that purpose is to move us from mortal to immortal expression. That purpose is to move us from physical to a spiritual understanding. So take your pick. Read whatever you want to read, interpret it however you want to interpret it. The bottom line is it's taking you from a physical understanding to a spiritual acknowledgement of your inner truth. If it doesn't do that, you don't need it. I won't carry it. I definitely won't present it to you. It's up to us to acknowledge the spiritual power within us. When we acknowledge the spiritual power within us, our harvest will reveal the greatness of God. As we prepare to demonstrate a greater faith, our consciousness will be fertilized with pure thoughts. When we plant seeds of unlimited potential, our soul will open the doors to a heavenly experience. Then we will embrace all of life's expressions as a harvest of gratefulness. Now, it would be unfair for me to stand here and make such a suggestion and offer you such a challenge in your life without highlighting a path back to your original perfection. It wouldn't be right for me to put this kind of pressure on you if I didn't give you a yellow brick road to follow. If I didn't give you an opportunity like the scarecrow to change your mind. If I didn't give you an opportunity like the Tin Man to open up your heart. If I didn't give you the same challenge that the lion had to conquer all your fears, then your harvest, your blessings, to be grateful for all things requires nothing more than a shift in your consciousness. Amen. A few years back, one of my mentors, Reverend of mine, said this. He said, a harvest requires a horizontal relationship with God. Horizontal relationship with God. The challenge is, most believers approach their relationship with God through their chosen belief system or religion. Most religions imply a vertical approach to spiritual understanding. Most of them tell you down here and God is up there. You got to start from the bottom and work your way up. But on your journey to the promised land, as you climb Jacob's ladder, as you travel that highway to heaven, you're going to need some help. You're going to need some direction. You're going to need some consultation. You're even going to need a little intercession. Reverend Lisa's doors and mine are always open for those things. In a religious setting, Reverend of mine said, your relationship with God is established through your relationship with your priest, your bishop, your imam, your rabbi, and sometimes your pundit. But a vertical relationship, it implies that there is someone closer to God than you. Now, y'all know I love church. Y'all know I honor and respect our religions. But I remember being told, you can't get there, but I can get you there. Now, I don't mean to imply that we don't need help from clergy. That's not what I'm saying. We need the clergy's words of enlightenment. We need their message of hope. We need them to declare that we should have a strong faith. We need them to give us inspiration towards having a life of prosperity. We also need Grandma and all her prayer warriors. We need you practitioners to remind us of our spiritual truth. But don't let anybody tell you that you also don't need Jesus. You see, because Jesus represents something that nobody can get around. And that is the Christ consciousness, which is fundamental in all of the aforementioned circumstances, religions, whatever you want to call it. Everything starts with what? How you think. And the right thinking is labeled as what? The Christ consciousness. Now, speaking of Jesus, Jesus taught a horizontal approach. He taught a message of oneness with God. He demonstrated and declared that all he possessed is yours to acquire as well. He brought an idea of divine power that we can seek and find within ourselves. He did identify religious ceremonies and rituals as having a meaning. He respected the knowledge and authority of the clergy. But he understood that that knowledge was based on their interpretation. I can read this all day long, but when I give it to you, it's based on what? My interpretation. You see, and preachers, oh, we got some perks now. Churches don't have to file no taxes. We got a whole lot of loopholes and things that authority has given us. Why? Because at one time, they were the ones telling us what to preach. In a sense, they still are. Jesus understands that. But he brought a divine idea, a divine power, that we can seek and find the spiritual help we need within us. He told you that God values no person more than another. There's no separation between you and it. He also made it clear that you don't have to look up, but you do have to look within. You see, only your faith, only your belief, only your personal relationship with Spirit can make you whole. And your wholeness is your harvest. Your harvest is the restoration of that which were you were created to be. When you acknowledge the power within, that's when you experience the greatness of God. That's when you plant ideas of spiritual truth. That's when you water those ideas with expressions of love. That's when you incubate them in the light of Christ. That's when you reap the harvest of gratefulness. A horizontal relationship, a unilateral connection with God brings balance to your 12 faculties. It restores and maintains the I am status with the divine. It gives you the power to bring whatever you need and desire into your experience. Doesn't change what happened, but it can give you what you need to deal and cope with whatever it is that happened. Reverend Lisa, she said, there's something perfect within each and every one of you. But she told you that having it within you is one thing, nurturing it is another. She said there should never be a moment when you're not celebrating something. Never. You know what you said? Never be a moment when you shouldn't be celebrating something. Always, Reverend Lisa told you, have an attitude of gratitude. Your harvest of gratefulness will require you to change some stuff. Your harvest of gratefulness will require you to go through some stuff. Your harvest of gratefulness will require you to recreate some stuff. Your harvest of gratefulness will make sure that you rethink some stuff. But your harvest of gratefulness can't come to its full fruition unless you are thankful for all the stuff. And most importantly, love and own up to your stuff. To yield our harvest requires a process of exploration, it requires exaltation, and it requires some elimination. You have to seek the kingdom. You have to examine your opportunity and your options, and you have to hold up your faith in spite of anything that comes your direction. And you got to get rid of all that mess that you don't need. Our harvest is when we realize our blessings. This inner peace that comes from the relationship with our union with Spirit causes an outward manifestation of prosperity, perfect health, and harmonious relationships. All are based on the unconditional love of God and your neighbor as yourself. Jesus made it a little simple, didn't he? He said, it's okay to follow them 613 laws. Please memorize the 10 Commandments. But everything you desire is based on your unconditional love of God. The Spirit and power and presence within you. And how you relate that same power and presence to other folks. So now you see why I said the name of the Lord, the nature of the Christ. You kind of always have that on your lips and in your heart. Because that is what fertilizes and produces your harvest of eternal gratefulness. I'm going to read a scripture in a minute. Isaiah 9, 1 through 7. The scripture makes reference to Christ. The Christ that's associated with Jesus of Nazareth in the Bible. But when I told all you metaphysicians that you need Jesus, what I was telling you is you can't make it without the Christ-saving principles that reveal perfection and the expression of God. I said the Christ-saving principles that reveal the perfection of God. Jesus represents the idea of God manifest within you. You see, when Paul was making references, making statements like, we have the mind of Christ. When he said, let this same mind be in you that is in Christ Jesus, he wasn't referencing a person. He was referencing a principle that will save you and produce an everlasting life for you. You see, Isaiah in the scripture that I'm about to read you, he's referencing the saving principles of mankind. The people in darkness that he's talking to, these are those folk, you know, that they locked into some material consciousness, you know, but they perceive that there's a way out. Is anybody in here like that? Anybody in here bogged down with the things that are happening to them in life, but you know there's a way out. You know there's a better way. You know there's a great light. You know there's a spiritual consciousness within you that can be developed. You know that there is a Messiah, there is a spirit within you that can save you from your mistakes, but we must bring on our higher self, and that higher self is where? It ain't up there, it ain't down here, it's within here. The principle of the Christ. It came to your knowledge. It first appeared in Scripture as a little child. It first appeared as something developing within the spirituality of man. His name, his nature must be conceived as a wonderful counselor, this book says. An everlasting Father, this book says. A Prince of Peace, the book says. The Christ is God's demonstration of man. Now Isaiah, he was heavy duty, that's what he said. Chapter 9. He said, the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali have rejoiced. The mighty dominion, the way by the sea, the country behind the river Jordan and Galilee of the Gentiles have rejoiced. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in the land of the shadow of death, upon them the light has shined. Thou hast multiplied thy people. Thou hast increased its joy. The joy before thee as those who rejoice in the harvest, and as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his soldier, and the rod of his oppressor, in the days of Midian. For every voice which is heard brings terror and garments rolled in blood, but it shall be for burning and fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government be upon his shoulder, and his name is called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty One, the Everlasting God, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of his peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to establish it, to sustain it with justice, with righteousness, and henceforth forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. That's what Isaiah said. He said the land of Zippor, which is intelligence, that intuitive knowing, that intuition that's in the pit of your stomach. Naphtali, the strength that sustains your faith. The River Jordan represents that stream of conscious thought that we must cross. The good and the bad thinking. That stream of conscious thought that we need to step over and reach Galilee, that life activity operating in harmony and spiritual substance. He's telling us when thoughts are spiritually focused, you rejoice. When you got it all together up here, when you got it all together in here, you rejoice. Then in the second verse, he says, there's a light shining on those who are in darkness. He's saying that those who didn't know, now know. He said that those who were in bondage, those who were carrying burdens, now they are freedom from that which they've gained freedom from that just by embracing the love and the wisdom of Christ. When you accept the Christ consciousness, you experience increased joy from your harvest. You have abundance that you can share. You overcome the control of a material thing with the power of spiritual knowing. You see, when Christ manifests in your life, you have no use for those old garments. You get rid of them. You throw them away. And when you get rid of all that mess, you purify your thinking. He goes on to tell you that Christ is born in your heart. It gives you access to unlimited knowledge, power, eternal life, and peace. A peace of mutual understanding that opens up the mind to realize that there is only one Spirit. There may be many names, there may be many religions, but there's only one Spirit. Our destiny is to express perfection within us as sons and daughters of the Most High. Our challenge is to establish a lasting peace within us. Then we'll sit on the throne of David, the book says, which is a region of love that begins with the Christ consciousness replacing the race consciousness. Come on, man. That's all it is. That's all this book is about. It's about the Christ consciousness replacing all that stuff that y'all are carrying around, all that anger that you're holding, all that resentment that you got, all the trauma that you had when you was a child, all the misfortune you had when they left you. No matter how they moved you. Mama left, I was in mourning. But I knew that what was a mourning for me was a blessing for her. Because every soul involves itself. When that special person takes a flight, that ain't about you. You ain't had nothing to do with that. You didn't make that decision. You didn't bring them here, and you ain't going to make the decision when they leave. So you can be sad. We human beings, we got to have a little mourning. Y'all know Reverend Jerrold cried a heartbeat. But we have to understand and we have to know that every expression, including that last one, is a blessing. There has to be more than this. If it ain't, we're wasting time, y'all. y'all shouldn't have came here today. If you don't think that there's something, look at that. You can't see the end of that ocean and you never will. You can't see the end of the universe and you never will. If God can do all of that, you think this little buffet we got is all the food we're going to get? No. It's big. That's what you say. This thing is big. And we can find our blessing in it. We can find out, I don't care what happened. Yes, send your condolences. Yes, put your arm around them. Yes, counsel them, talk to them, lift them up, make them laugh. Do whatever you need to do for that person that's feeling pain, that person that's in need. But the best thing you can do for them and the best thing they can do for themselves is realize that there's a power and presence within them that can change their mind, that can open up their heart, that can erase all of their fears, and allow them to experience a harvest of gratefulness. I'm going to close with this. Go back to Ernest Holmes, because I know all y'all read that chapter, right? Okay, tell Reverend Jerrold the truth now. Here's what he says. The rules of law required for an attitude of gratitude. There are rules of law that are required. The law of attraction is what he's talking about. That rule of law required for an attitude of gratitude impacts every life experience. You can't escape law. I don't care what it is. You can't escape it. He also tells you this. He says, nothing happens by chance. That's right. Nothing happens by, I know when you pull that arm and the coins fell out. You thought that was your lucky day. Nothing happens by chance. Amen. He says you put the law in motion every time you embrace a thought. Every time. What are you thinking right now? Every time you embrace a thought, you put the law in motion. He says there's only one power, and it knows and understands and works just like the soil. It receives and produces whatever you think into it. That's it. Whatever you think into it will produce your harvest. Isaiah, Old Testament, gave you all the tools, all the machinery that you need to harvest your blessings. But Paul, in one of his New Testament writings, he sums it up in a different way, but it gets you to the same place. 1 Thessalonians 5:15 through 18. He says the same thing that Isaiah said. He says, don't render for evil. Don't give in to it. Always follow which is good among yourselves and all men. You always have a choice. You can give in to the negative, or you can follow what's good. And if there's always God, then there's always what? There's always good. He says, be joyful always. Isn't that what Revelation told you? Be joyful always. Amen. Pray without ceasing. He says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Jesus the Christ concerning you. Ain't talking about somebody outside you. Ain't talking about somebody you got to go get permission and confess to. That didn't say that. He said, Jesus Christ concerning you, within you. What Paul is doing in this instance, he's telling those who are a little bit confused, a little bit lost, just like all of us, I know I am. He's telling us who have a desire for truth. He's telling those whose thinking can sometimes get all kilted and not quite balanced, that a lack of wisdom, they lack tolerance and they lack patience towards others. He's telling them, if you want a harvest of gratefulness, don't see or react to evil. Be joyful no matter what happens. He's telling you to pray without ceasing. Always recognize the power that you have. Always know that you are one with that power. Always be in position to demonstrate your truth. He's telling you in everything, give thanks. For every experience, for every expression is the will of God. It's the law of God in action. It's the Christ being revealed through you. Your harvest of gratefulness. My harvest of gratefulness. The world's harvest of gratefulness depends on your ability to allow the Christ consciousness to direct our individual and collective thinking. God bless you.
Amen.